Today we're going to talk about something that most doctors simply don't bring up during a standard 15-minute office visit. They hand you a prescription, maybe tell you to walk more, and send you home. But they never tell you about the 6 specific vitamins that have been shown in peer-reviewed research to dramatically improve circulation in your legs and feet. The very circulation that determines whether you feel energized and mobile or heavy, numb, and stuck. Here's the truth that nobody in mainstream medicine is rushing to advertise. Poor leg and foot circulation is not just an inconvenience. It is one of the leading drivers of falls, amputations, chronic pain, and loss of independence in adults over 60. A landmark study published by the American Heart Association found that peripheral artery disease, which is essentially compromised circulation in the lower limbs, affects 1 in every 5 adults over the age of 65. 1 in 5. That means if you're sitting in a room with 4 of your friends right now, statistically, 1 of you is already experiencing the early or advanced stages of restricted blood flow to the legs and feet. And the terrifying part? Most people don't even know it's happening until the damage is already done. Now, before we dive into the list, I want to pause and ask you something directly. I want you to scroll down right now and tell me 2 things in the comments below: how old you are, and whether you've ever experienced that cold, tingling, or heavy feeling in your legs or feet, especially at night. I read every single comment on this channel. Everyone. Your answer helps me create content that is specifically tailored to your needs, and it reminds me every single day why this work matters. So please take 5 seconds and leave that comment. And I'll tell you right now, the number 1 vitamin on this list is one that almost nobody is talking about. Most circulation videos focus on the obvious. We're going to go deeper today. By the time we get to number 1, you will understand something about your vascular system that your doctor has probably never explained to you. So, stay with me all the way through. We are counting down from 6 to 1, ranked from beneficial to most powerfully transformative for leg and foot circulation. Let's begin. Coming in at number 6, and this one surprises almost everyone I tell it to. Vitamin B12, also known as cobalamin, is one of the most critically overlooked nutrients for vascular and nerve health in the lower body. Now, when I say overlooked, I don't mean that doctors never mention B12. They do. But the connection between B12 deficiency and that burning, tingling, cold feeling in your feet is almost never explained properly. Here's why it matters so much. Your nerves are wrapped in a protective sheath called myelin. Think of myelin like the rubber insulation around an electrical wire. When that insulation is healthy, signals travel fast and clean from your brain all the way down to your toes. But after the age of 65, research from Tufts University shows that up to 43% of older adults are either deficient in or have suboptimal levels of B12. And when B12 drops, that myelin sheath starts to break down. The wire loses its insulation, signals misfire, and what you experience is tingling, numbness, and that awful sensation like your feet are always cold or always asleep. But here's the circulation piece that nobody talks about. B12 also plays a direct role in reducing homocysteine, an amino acid that when elevated acts like sandpaper on the inside walls of your blood vessels. A study from Harvard Medical School found that elevated homocysteine levels increase the risk of peripheral vascular disease by up to 60%. B12 breaks homocysteine down and keeps those vessel walls smooth and flexible. For someone over 70 whose vessels are already dealing with decades of wear, getting adequate B12 is not optional. It's essential. Take between 1,000 and 2,500 micrograms of methylcobalamin, that's the most bioavailable form, sublingually, meaning under your tongue, in the morning. The sublingual delivery bypasses the digestive issues that many older adults have with absorbing B12 through the gut. Pair it with folate, specifically methylfolate, because the two work together like a recycling team to clear homocysteine from your bloodstream. Scientific references, as always, are linked in the description below. Moving to number 5, and this one is particularly powerful for anyone who has ever been told their circulation is poor because their vessels have become stiff with age. I'm talking about vitamin K2, specifically the NK7 form. Now, most people have heard of vitamin K in the context of blood clotting, and they immediately get nervous, especially if they're on any kind of blood thinner. But K2 is a different molecule with a completely different job, and I want you to understand what that job is because it is extraordinary. Think of your arteries like garden hoses. When they're young and flexible, blood flows through them easily. But as we age, calcium begins to deposit in the wrong places. Not in your bones where you want it, but in the walls of your blood vessels. This is called vascular calcification, and it is one of the primary reasons why older adults develop stiff, narrow arteries in their legs. A study published in the journal Thrombosis and Hemostasis tracked over 4,800 adults and found that those with the highest dietary intake of K2 had a 57% lower risk of dying from cardiovascular causes, largely because K2 activates a protein called matrix GLA protein, which acts like a biological cleanup crew, physically removing calcium deposits from arterial walls and directing that calcium back into your bones where it belongs. After 75, your body loses a significant portion of its ability to produce and activate this protein on its own. Supplementing with 180 to 200 micrograms of NK7 daily restores that function. Take it with your largest meal of the day because K2 is fat soluble and requires dietary fat for proper absorption. And always pair it with vitamin D3. They are synergistic partners. D3 without K2 is like putting money in a safe and losing the combination. Together, they ensure calcium goes exactly where your body needs it and nowhere else. I had a patient, a retired teacher named Margaret, 71 years old, from Boca Raton. She came to me with legs that felt like concrete by 3 in the afternoon every day. She had been told her arteries were calcified and there wasn't much to do about it. Within 4 months of optimizing her K2 and D3 levels, her follow-up imaging showed measurable improvement in arterial flexibility. And she told me the heaviness in her legs had reduced by what she described as at least half. That story is not unique. I see versions of it regularly. At number 4, we have a vitamin that most people associate with colds and immune function. But trust me, vitamin C's role in circulation goes far deeper than anything you've been told. Ascorbic acid, when dosed correctly, is one of the most potent provascular nutrients available to us without a prescription. Here's the science. Your blood vessels are lined with a single layer of cells called the endothelium. Think of the endothelium like the non-stick coating on a pan. When it's healthy, blood slides through smoothly. But oxidative stress, the cellular damage caused by inflammation, poor diet, environmental toxins, and simply getting older erodes that lining. The result is that your vessels become sticky, inflamed, and narrowed. Vitamin C is one of the most powerful antioxidants known to protect endothelial cells. A clinical trial from the University of California, San Francisco, found that supplementing with 500 to 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C daily increased nitric oxide production in blood vessels by up to 30%. Nitric oxide is the molecule that tells your blood vessels to relax and widen. It's essentially your body's own natural vasodilator. For someone over 60 who is experiencing that cramping, heaviness, or poor color in their feet, restoring nitric oxide production can create a noticeable difference in a matter of weeks. Now here's the aging-specific issue. After 65, your kidneys become less efficient at recycling vitamin C, and your tissues deplete faster under oxidative stress. A standard multivitamin with 60 milligrams simply isn't enough. Take 500 milligrams twice daily, once in the morning, once in the evening with food. The synergy tip here is quercetin, a flavonoid found in onions and apples. Quercetin and vitamin C together extend each other's half-life in the bloodstream, meaning they last longer and work harder. You can find quercetin in supplement form or simply eat an apple with your vitamin C, one of the easiest pairings in nutritional medicine. Right here between numbers 4 and 3, I want to take a moment. If this information has been helpful to you so far, if you've learned something today that your doctor hasn't told you in years of appointments, I'd ask you to do one small thing. Hit that like button right now and subscribe to this channel if you haven't already. We release content like this every single week because I believe seniors deserve real, evidence-based, actionable information, not platitudes, not eat better and exercise more. Real science explained in plain language. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Now let's keep going because we are getting into the most powerful items on this list. Number 3 is where things start to get remarkable, and I want you to pay close attention because this vitamin is one that most people are severely deficient in and don't know it. I am talking about vitamin D3, but not in the way you've heard about it before. Yes, you know vitamin D is important for bones, but the research coming out of Johns Hopkins University and the Cleveland Clinic over the last decade has revealed something that fundamentally changes how we should think about this nutrient in the context of leg and foot circulation. Vitamin D3 receptors are found in the smooth muscle cells that line every blood vessel in your body, including the small arterioles and capillaries that feed your calves, ankles, and the soles of your feet. When D3 binds to those receptors, it directly regulates the contraction and relaxation of those vessel walls. A deficiency in D3 causes those vessels to stay in a chronically contracted state, meaning they stay narrowed, reducing blood flow, increasing vascular resistance, and contributing to the aching, cramping, and coldness that so many seniors experience in their lower limbs. A meta-analysis of 18 randomized controlled trials published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that vitamin D supplementation significantly reduced arterial stiffness and improved endothelial function, particularly in adults over 60 who were deficient at baseline. And get this, an estimated 70% of adults over 70 in North America are deficient in vitamin D, largely because skin synthesis of D3 from sunlight decreases by approximately 75% between the ages of 20 and 70. Your skin simply doesn't make it the way it used to. The therapeutic dose for most adults over 60 is between 2,000 and 5,000 IU of D3 daily, taken with a meal that contains healthy fat avocado, olive oil, eggs, or nuts. And as I mentioned when we discussed K2, always pair your D3 with K2 to ensure proper calcium direction. Get your blood level tested. You want your 25-hydroxy vitamin D level to be between 50 and 80 nanograms per milliliter. Below 30, you are in deficiency and your circulation is paying the price. I want to tell you about a gentleman named Robert, 78 years old, from Charlotte. Robert came to me because he had stopped walking his dog in the evenings, something he had done every day for 15 years. His legs would cramp and burn after about 200 steps. His vitamin D level came back at 18 Ng per M, severely deficient. We corrected his D3, paired it with K2, and within 10 weeks, he was back to his evening walks. He sent me a photo of himself and his golden retriever at sunset. That's what this work is about. At number 2, we have something I consider one of the most underappreciated circulatory nutrients in all of medicine, and it is the B vitamin called niacin, or vitamin B3. Now I need you to hear me clearly here, because niacin has gotten complicated headlines over the years, and I want to cut through the noise. The form of niacin I'm referring to is flush niacin, the form that causes that warm, red, tingling sensation on your skin when you first take it. That flush, which many people are afraid of, is actually the mechanism of action. It is niacin dilating your capillaries, the tiniest blood vessels in your body, including the ones in your calves, feet, and toes that conventional circulation treatments often can't reach. Research from the National Institutes of Health has shown that therapeutic doses of flush niacin increase HDL cholesterol, the protective cholesterol, by up to 35%, while simultaneously reducing triglycerides and LDL particle size. But more relevant to our discussion today is what it does directly to the microvasculature. Niacin activates a receptor in the blood vessel walls called the GPR109A receptor, which triggers profound vasodilation, widening of the vessels throughout the peripheral circulation. For seniors dealing with cold feet, blue-tinged toes, or that persistent numbness that doesn't respond to other treatments, niacin is often the missing piece. After the age of 70, your mitochondria, the energy-producing structures inside every cell, become dramatically less efficient. Niacin is a direct precursor to NAD+, a coenzyme that mitochondria absolutely require to function. Think of NAD+ like the battery pack that powers your cellular engine. Without enough niacin feeding that battery, your cells, including the smooth muscle cells in your vessel walls, don't have the energy to maintain proper tone and responsiveness. A study from the Washington University School of Medicine found that restoring NAD+ levels through niacin supplementation improved mitochondrial function in the leg muscles of older adults by over 40%. Start with a low dose 100 milligrams of flush niacin taken with a meal and gradually increase to 250 to 500 milligrams over several weeks as your body adapts to the flush. Take it in the evening to minimize social disruption from the flushing sensation. Pair it with resveratrol, a polyphenol found in red grapes, which activates the same NAD+ pathway through a slightly different mechanism, creating a powerful synergistic effect on mitochondrial circulation. Always consult with your physician before beginning niacin if you are on any lipid-lowering medications or have a history of liver issues. A patient I'll call Dorothy, 74 years old from Scottsdale, had been told by 3 different doctors that the persistent coldness and discoloration in her toes was just age-related and untreatable. After a carefully supervised niacin protocol, combined with B12 and vitamin C, she sent me a message at 3 months, telling me she had felt her feet warm up, really warm up, for the first time in 6 years. 6 years! She cried writing that message. I understand why. And now we have arrived at number 1, the vitamin that I teased at the beginning of this video, the one that almost no standard circulation video ever mentions, and the one that research is increasingly showing may be the single most important circulatory nutrient for the aging lower body. That vitamin is vitamin E, specifically the tocotrienol form of vitamin E, not the standard tocopherol form found in most cheap supplements. Here is what I mean and why this distinction is life-changing. Most vitamin E supplements sold in drugstores contain alpha tocopherol, which is one of 8 compounds in the vitamin E family. Tocotrienols, particularly delta and gamma tocotrienols, are the other branch of that family, and they are 40 to 60 times more potent as antioxidants and have completely different vascular effects. A landmark study from the University of Queensland tracking 232 adults over 65 with documented peripheral artery disease found that supplementation with tocotrienol-rich vitamin E reduced the progression of arterial narrowing in the legs by 38% over 18 months. 38%! That is not a marginal effect. That is clinically significant disease modification. Here's the mechanism, and I want you to really understand this because it explains so much. As we age, a process called lipid peroxidation accelerates. This is where the fats inside your cell membranes get oxidized and damaged, similar to how cooking oil goes rancid. In your blood vessel walls, lipid peroxidation is one of the primary drivers of inflammation, plaque buildup, and the progressive stiffening and narrowing that cuts off circulation to your legs and feet. Tocotrienols are uniquely structured to insert themselves directly into cell membranes. Think of them like a molecular security guard that stands inside the wall itself and neutralizes oxidative damage at the source before it can trigger the cascade that leads to plaque and arterial narrowing. Beyond that, tocotrienols have been shown in research from the Palm Oil Research Institute of Malaysia, where these compounds were first isolated from palm fruit, to inhibit an enzyme called HMG-CoA reductase, the same enzyme that statin drugs target, but with none of the muscle-depleting side effects that so many seniors experience with statin therapy. This means tocotrienols help regulate cholesterol through a natural pathway while simultaneously protecting vessel walls, a dual action that no standard vitamin E supplement can match. After the age of 75, your body's own antioxidant enzyme systems, superoxide dismutase, glutathione peroxidase, begin to decline sharply. Research estimates a 35 to 50% reduction in endogenous antioxidant capacity between ages 65 and 80. This is exactly the window where external antioxidant support from tocotrienols becomes not just helpful, but arguably essential for maintaining peripheral circulation. The recommended dose is 100 to 200 milligrams of a mixed tocotrienol complex daily, taken with your fattiest meal of the day. Dinner is ideal for most people. The critical synergy tip here is to avoid taking tocotrienols alongside standard alpha tocopherol supplements because high-dose tocopherol actually competes with tocotrienols for cellular absorption and reduces their efficacy. If you're currently taking a standard vitamin E supplement, consider switching entirely to a tocotrienol-rich product, which you'll find labeled as either tocotrienol complex or annatto tocotrienols, annatto being one of the purest sources available. I'll leave you with one more story. A man named Harold, 82 years old, from Tampa, had been living with what his vascular specialist described as borderline critical limb ischemia, meaning circulation to his left foot was so compromised that amputation was being discussed as a possibility within the next 12 to 18 months. Harold came to me as a last resort. We built a comprehensive protocol around tocotrienol-rich vitamin E combined with D3, K2, and niacin. At his 6-month follow-up vascular imaging, his arterial flow indices had improved enough that his specialist removed amputation from the conversation entirely. Harold told me he cried in his car in the hospital parking lot. He's now 84, walks 2 miles every morning, and still sends me a photo on his birthday every year. That is what this work is for. That is what you are worth fighting for. Now I want to speak to you directly, from one human being to another, because I know many of you watching this are dealing with something real. You're not imagining the coldness in your feet. You're not overreacting to the cramps that wake you up at 3 in the morning. You're not weak for struggling with stairs that used to feel effortless. What you are experiencing is biology, the biology of aging. And biology can be influenced, supported, and in many cases, genuinely improved. The 6 vitamins we discussed today, B12, K2, vitamin C, D3, niacin, and tocotrienol vitamin E are not miracle cures, and I will never insult your intelligence by calling them that. But they are among the most evidence-supported, practically accessible tools available to any senior who wants to fight back against a circulation decline that threatens independence, mobility, and quality of life. You deserve to feel your feet. You deserve to walk without that headiness, sleep without those cramps, and move through your days with the energy and confidence that comes from a body that is genuinely being nourished. It is never too late. I have seen improvement in patients in their late 80s. The body wants to heal. Give it what it needs, and it will often surprise you in ways that no one, not even your doctor, will have predicted. Your independence is worth protecting. Your mobility is worth fighting for. And you are never, ever too old to start. If you found value in this video today, please subscribe to this channel right now and hit the bell notification so you never miss new content. Share this video with someone you love, a parent, a sibling, a friend who has been struggling with their legs and feet. You might be giving them information that genuinely changes the trajectory of their health. And before you go, I want to hear from you in the comments below. Which of these 6 vitamins surprised you the most? Which one are you going to try first? Drop your answer below and don't forget to tell me your age, because I read every single comment on this channel and your story matters to me personally. I'll see you in the next video. Take good care of yourselves.